Long ago, in the land of Israel, there lived a great king named David. He was a brave warrior and a man who loved God. When David grew old, it was time for a new king to rule. His son, a young man named Solomon, was chosen to sit on the throne. Taking over from a father as famous as David was a very big job. The people of Israel watched their new young king, wondering what kind of leader he would be. Solomon knew he needed help to rule such a great nation wisely and justly, so he looked to God for guidance in this immense task that lay before him. One night, soon after becoming king, Solomon had a very special dream. In this dream, God appeared to him and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon could have asked for anything in the world. He could have requested great riches, a long life, or victory over all his enemies. But Solomon did not ask for any of those things. Instead, he thought about his people and the heavy responsibility he carried. He knew that being a king was more than just wearing a crown and living in a palace. It was about caring for everyone in the kingdom and making fair decisions. Solomon answered God with great humility. He said, "Give your servant a wise and understanding heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." This answer pleased God very much. God was happy that Solomon had not asked for personal gain, but had instead asked for the tools to be a good and righteous ruler. Because Solomon's request was so unselfish, God promised to give him not only the wisdom he asked for, but also riches and honor unlike any king before or after him. This divine promise would shape Solomon's entire reign. So Solomon woke from his dream not just as a king, but as the wisest king the world would ever know. News of his incredible wisdom began to spread throughout the land and even to distant kingdoms. People from all over came to hear him speak and to bring their difficult problems to him for judgment. They were amazed by his ability to see the truth in complicated situations and to offer solutions that were both clever and fair. His reign started with a promise of greatness, and he was ready to lead his people with the special gift he had received from God. The most famous story of Solomon's wisdom involved a very difficult choice. One day, two women came before him, both holding a single baby. Both women claimed to be the baby's mother. "This is my son," cried the first woman. "No, he is mine," shouted the second. They argued back and forth, and no one could tell who was speaking the truth. Solomon listened carefully to their emotional pleas, his face calm and thoughtful. The entire court waited silently, eager to see how the king would solve this impossible puzzle. It was a true test of the divine wisdom he was said to possess. After a moment of thought, Solomon gave a startling command. "Bring me a sword!" he ordered a guard. The room grew tense as the guard returned with the weapon. Solomon then declared, "Cut the living child in two and give half to the one and half to the other." The people in the court gasped in shock at his seemingly cruel decision. One of the women, however, nodded in agreement, saying that if she could not have the baby, then no one should. This cold response revealed the darkness hidden within her heart, exposing her lie for all to see. But the other woman screamed in terror and begged the king to stop. "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him," she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Her heart was breaking at the thought of her child being harmed, and she would rather give him up than see him hurt. In that moment, Solomon knew he had found the real mother. A true mother's love is selfless and protective, and her cry to save the child at any cost proved her love was genuine. Her willingness to lose her son to save his life was the ultimate proof. Solomon raised his hand and announced his final judgment. "Give the living baby to the first woman," he commanded, pointing to the one who had begged for the child's life. "She is his mother." Everyone in the court was amazed by his cleverness and deep understanding of the human heart. Stories like this traveled far and wide, and soon another powerful ruler came to see this wisdom for herself. The Queen of Sheba, a monarch from a rich and distant land, heard the tales of Solomon's greatness and decided to make the long journey to Jerusalem to test him with hard questions and see his kingdom firsthand. The Queen of Sheba arrived in Jerusalem with a great caravan of camels carrying spices, gold, and precious stones. She came to test Solomon with difficult riddles and questions, but he answered them all with ease. Nothing was too hard for him to explain. The queen was completely astonished. She saw the magnificent palace he had built, the delicious food served at his tables, and the smart and happy people who served him. She saw the incredible wealth and organization of his kingdom. Everything she witnessed was far greater than the stories she had been told back in her own land. The Queen said to King Solomon, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe it until I came and saw it with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told to me." She praised Solomon's wisdom and the God who had placed him on the throne. Before she left, she gave him magnificent gifts of gold and rare spices. Solomon's fame had now reached the farthest corners of the known world, establishing him not just as a wise king, but as a monarch of immense wealth and international renown. Solomon's wisdom was not only for solving disputes, he also wrote it down for future generations. He is credited with writing much of the Book of Proverbs, a collection of wise sayings and advice for living a good and sensible life. He also wrote the Book of Ecclesiastes, which explores the meaning of life and concludes that fearing God and keeping his commandments is what matters most. Finally, the beautiful Song of Solomon is a collection of poems about love, celebrating its power and joy. These writings have been read and studied for thousands of years, offering guidance to people everywhere. The greatest building project of Solomon's reign was the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. For centuries, the Israelites had worshipped God in a portable tent called the tabernacle. King David had dreamed of building a permanent, magnificent house for God, and Solomon made that dream a reality. He gathered the finest materials, cedar wood from Lebanon, great blocks of stone, and vast amounts of gold, and built a glorious temple that became the center of worship for the entire nation. It stood as a shining symbol of God's presence among his people and a testament to the golden age of Solomon's rule. Despite his incredible wisdom and God-given success, Solomon's life also serves as a cautionary tale. To make alliances with other kingdoms, he married many foreign women who were not from Israel. He took hundreds of wives and concubines from nations that worshipped different gods. While this may have seemed like a clever political strategy to ensure peace and trade with his neighbors, it created a serious problem within his own heart and kingdom. These marriages were a direct disobedience to God's commands, which had warned Israelite kings not to marry foreign women who might lead them astray. As Solomon grew older, his foreign wives turned his heart away from the one true God who had given him everything. He began to build temples and altars for their gods, and he even participated in their worship. This was a great disappointment to God, who had appeared to Solomon twice and had specifically commanded him not to follow other gods. Because of his disobedience, God told Solomon that the kingdom would be torn apart after his death. Most of the tribes of Israel would be taken from his son's rule, a sad consequence of his poor choices in his later years. After a 40-year reign filled with unparalleled peace and prosperity, King Solomon died. Just as God had warned, the kingdom soon split in two. His story is a powerful reminder that wisdom and blessings are not enough to guarantee a perfect life. Obedience and faithfulness to God are just as important. Solomon started his journey with a humble heart, asking only for wisdom, but ended it by straying from the path God had set for him. His life shows that even the wisest person can make foolish mistakes when they turn away from God's guidance. King Solomon's legacy is therefore complex and multifaceted. He is remembered as the wisest and wealthiest king in Israel's history, the builder of the magnificent First Temple, and the author of timeless books of wisdom. His reign is often called Israel's Golden Age. However, he is also remembered for the grave errors that led to the division of his kingdom. His life teaches us valuable lessons about the importance of humility, the gift of true wisdom, and the critical need for unwavering faithfulness. His story continues to inspire and warn people, showing both the incredible heights one can reach with God's blessing and the deep troubles that can follow disobedience.